Welcome to the Back to Brick Property Podcast. I'm your host, David Lamb. On this podcast, we'll be stripping property investors and business people alike back to brick to find out how their journey can help you on your journey.
This podcast is brought to you by Orange Sales and Lettings. If you know someone that is looking to sell or let a home, please get in touch. Referral fees are available. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to the Back to Brick Property Show. I'm your host, David Lamb. The show is sponsored by Orange Sales and Lettings. Today, I'm super excited about today's guest. She's achieving massive things in property. She's also one of the only genuine sources I know out there that offers genuine deals to investors. And I've worked with her now for a number of years. Welcome, Flora Russo.
Thank you, David. Very excited to be here with you. Indeed.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. You have to say that. You have to say that.
No, I'm saying it because it's true.
Good. No, I really appreciate your time. I know you're very active in the Northeast anyway, but I really appreciate the time that you've taken today to chat to us. So we connected years ago. I was trying to think today actually, what was the first time we spoke? I think I took on some lettings potentially for your clients or for yourself.
Yeah, I think that was it. I think your name came across speaking to someone up here, and they recommended your service. And I think it was for me actually.
For your own personal one,
yeah, I think so. We met briefly, and then did we meet?
And then you blocked me on WhatsApp.
No. And now we're here together, so that means we did something right.
We must have done. I think it was about five years ago.
It could be because COVID was like 2 years. So
it was definitely pre-COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely
100%.
pre-COVID. Time flies, doesn't it? Really does.
It does.
So today I want to go back to the start, back to brick. I want to go back to the very beginning. I want to know who you are and how you got to being sat here today. So what was early life like? How did life begin?
My life in general? Well, I'm from Italy. I'm from Milan, so everyone knows that, I guess, from my accent. So, just moved to the UK in 2013. I decided to do that because I thought that having a work experience outside Italy was a good choice, for my CV. And also I wanted to improve my English. And because I was very lazy in Italy, I was not doing it at all. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to move there. I'm going to put myself outside my comfort zone, and I have to do it.
Brilliant.
I was lucky because I actually was I always work for IT companies. So I was working for Hewlett-Packard as an account manager.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I actually moved with them. So, I didn't have to start working in a pub or, whatever. So I had already a good job.
That helps, yeah.
Yeah, that helped a lot. So I spent 18 months living in Reading. And then I got really bored about it because it's a very small place. And, after a while, you know everyone. You go to the same places all the time. And it was not for me anymore.
Yeah.
So London was the next stop. And I just loved it, and I'm still there. So keep going for IT companies for 2 years after I moved.
So when was that? What year did you come over then?
2013.
2013.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. God, so you've been here 11 years. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So it's home now. It feels like home, I guess.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm in Italy, I'm like, I want to go back home.
Do you really?
London. Yeah.
Oh wow.
I do.
Having just been to Italy, I know we've just been chatting about that, but having just been to Italy, I just said to you, didn't I? I don't know why you live in England. Because I appreciate I was on the Amalfi Coast. It's a holiday destination, but the Italian people are just amazing. They're so lovely.
Yeah, we are. You're right. But I found Milan, it was too small for me. It was such a small reality, and I found people very close-minded,
Yeah.
So living in a place like London, it just boosts this. I'm a very extrovert person, so like being in this melting pot of people coming from all over the world and sharing their experiences and being very humble about everything and anything. I just loved it. I felt like I belong in a place like that more than Milan. Milan is nice, but everyone wants to show off, that they're better than others, or, they are more fashion than others and stuff. And that's not me anymore, So I went through a growth phase, and that was not my place anymore.
Yeah. So did you find moving to London change your mindset then? Did it make you think bigger in general?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I moved here when I was 30-something,
Don't need to tell us.
Yeah. And I ended up having to share, living in a shared accommodation for the first time in my life, So I was not used to it because in Italy I had my own flat. So just a new life starts, and with all the challenges, that you embrace, but you just love it because you know that you want to be here and you want to make it work,
Yeah. Brilliant.
And I loved it.
So you moved over straight into a job with Hewlett Packard. So at least you had a sort of friend, some sort of social life with the people you were working with.
No, because they were all in Italy.
Oh.
So so I came here with no friends, of course, and I actually lost all of my friends back in Italy because well, they were probably not really friends, but who cares?
Yeah.
So I remember this so well. So I came to the office with my usual, way of doing things. I was like, okay, so shall we go for a drink? Shall we go for a party? And people were looking at me like, who's this girl? What does she want from our lives? We just drop the pen at 5 and go home. I was like, okay. So I found it a bit difficult.
Were they people of a similar age, sort of young people?
Yeah, they were, but all from here.
Right.
Down London, I would say. So, very different characters compared to mine. But I actually made close friends with a guy from Spain that was working there and the guy from Germany that is actually currently one of my angel investors still. So you see?
Brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny because being from the north, I think we all think of London as being this melting pot of activity, and everyone finishes work at 5 and they're in the cocktail bar from 5:30 till 8, and it's a very sort of cosmopolitan lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that everyone was sort of work, sleep, work, sleep.
Yeah, bear in mind that I was in, so the head office of HP was in Bracknell, so it's not really London, but still, it's not that far. So I guess people are busy, family lives, whatever, so I was just expecting a bit more excitement. But, I created it around me, so I was just fine anyway.
I'm sure you did. So at that point then, you've moved over from Italy.
Yeah.
You wanted a new adventure.
Yeah.
You're loving life. You're feeling settled already. Your work, were you driven at work, working for somebody else? Were you turning up at Hewlett Packard on a morning and did you see a future?
I was really happy at the time because it was giving me good money to enjoy my life here because, it's really important. I didn't know anything about it, of course, but if you don't have a job here, you can't rent a place or, especially if you live in London, everything is expensive. So if you have to count the money all the time and you can't do anything, there is no point of being there, I guess, Yeah. So that gave me a very good start to enjoy. And I was really enjoying it. I was doing loads of things, new things that were different from my country, But yeah, then like a redundancy opportunity came my way. And I was a bit upset at the time because, it's never a good thing. But when I look at the money they were offering me to leave, I was like, okay, I'm going to go tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not that upset anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where am I going to sign? And my boss was like, oh, no, you're not allowed to take it. And I'm like, why not? I mean, I was including the email from HR, so I'm taking the package and I'm going. And that was my deposit to buy my flat in London.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So it was a decent payoff then.
Yeah, it's because they count all the years of work in Italy. And also, I used to work for another company before HP that was acquired by HP. So they count that year as well.
Brilliant.
So since I was 20.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that was
decent.
a bit paycheck.
Excellent. So obviously you were happy with the paycheck. It paid your deposit on your first flat in London, which is amazing.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts at the time? Did you think, shit, where am I going to go next? Or did you have a plan in place?
I had a plan in place because the IT world is small. It's like property, everyone knows everyone. And after you're in that industry for a while, you progress by recommendations as well. But it doesn't mean that, it all depends on the people that you know. So I worked with this guy for a while, like 10 years before, and he called me saying, I want you to work for my company. And so when I left HP, I think I got probably not even a month of holiday. And then I started a new job in this company with this person that I knew for a while already. So yeah, that was in kind of a smooth transition.
Okay. So at what point and why did you start looking at property?
So unfortunately, something bad happened in my life. So in 2015, I lost my dad.
Okay.
And everything started from there because I was really career-driven and money-focused, but you don't really have the time, or at least I didn't really have the time to spend this money in things that I love doing, because you're always working, especially when you're in sales, there is no time off. Also, if you're lying on the beach, you're checking your phone because your boss is asking for forecasts or updates on, deals and stuff. So when I lost my dad, everything changed. I took some time off to deal with things, and it made me think that he was the kind of person that was actually waiting retirement to enjoy life. So it was like, I want to move to Bulgaria or, whatever there because life is cheaper, I can enjoy more and blah, blah, blah. But he never done anything before then. So he was not a traveler. I never liked to travel or doing anything in general. And I lost him when he was 64. So actually 63. So 1 year before retirement or 2 years, whatever. And I was like, okay, I don't want to end up like that. Let's do something about it. Let's see if I can change my life in time, And that's what I did. I quit because, to be honest, my head wasn't there. So I came back to work, but I was not performing as before. I was just, my head wasn't there. I wasn't present, and my boss noted that. So I was like, what do you want to do? Shall we think about a recovery plan and to get you on track, or you want to go? I was like, I think it's time for me to go. I don't have that motivation and passion for what I do anymore. And I left.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you left, were you purely focused on just getting your head in the right space?
Yeah, I went traveling for a while. So it happened that at work I actually met my husband now, Vad, and he quit the job as well. And we went traveling together. So we went to Thailand, Vietnam, and Australia. Brilliant. And when we were in Australia, we actually met a couple of friends who used to live in Edinburgh. And they were telling us about renting out their flat that was making their money, when they were, enjoying Australia, And that was the trigger for me. I was like, great, I'm going to go back to the UK, I'm going to buy a flat in Edinburgh, and I'm going to rent it out. Not knowing anything, about property investing and stuff. Yeah. And then I checked prices, and I was like, I don't think it's going to work,
Not.
I'm not going anywhere with this, you know. But, when you put your thought out there, and you start receiving things back. So I think out of my social media, maybe I've done some researches and things. So I start getting these advertising, like 3 days, self-development, free training or whatever. And I've done a few there, all free. And they were actually really about self-development. But they were all talking about creating this passive income in your life through property. Yeah. And that was like, okay, I think I like the sounds of it. Let's explore it more. Yeah. So that's how actually everything started.
Okay, so you saw these adverts. You went and did a few of the free taster courses, I guess.
Yes.
And did you immediately think, this is for me?
I kind of did. It was, for me, the good thing was the freedom, the idea of freedom and flexibility that this property investment journey could have gave me, Yeah, and then I've done a few more trainings that I had to pay for, and it was amazing. I was so excited. That was for me. That was me. I found a new passion, and I just followed it, to be honest. Yeah,
it's interesting. Yeah, I think a lot of people, what draws them into property is that freedom, and all of these courses advertise, passive income, which it is passive to a point. It's not completely passive, as we know, when we're remortgaging and we're getting surveys done and we're doing this and we're doing that. But it's as passive as it gets, as long as you've got the right people sort of managing your properties, etc., etc.
And I do.
Yeah, you do, yeah. But yeah, there's always headaches along the way, isn't there, regardless of how many good people you have in your team, I suppose. So you've gone to these courses, you've gone on, you've paid for further training. It was the legacy training,
Yes,
wasn't it?
correct.
Which so many of my guests that I've had on already have done.
Yeah.
And I must say, I've never done the property training, but the legacy course does, I know it's expensive, but it does seem to yield the most successful investors that I've met. I have to say that.
Okay, interesting. I remember when I did the training, they were saying the only 2% of the people that actually do the training buy houses.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you probably met all the 2% part of it.
Yeah, I've met them all.
Yeah. But I mean, for me, a part of the knowledge, it was the connection with people, Of course, it's not them that connect you to people. You have to put the work in, and I love networking. I love talking to people. I'm always interested. And because I wanted to make this work, I was always out there. The only regret I have about that trainings, but that was my fault, not knowing anything, is that I actually done all the trainings all together. So different strategies all together. And then I picked the one I wanted to focus on.
Yeah.
So that maybe was a mistake, because now, I've done the HMO trainings like 5 years ago, so I'm sure the regulations are totally different now, or I've done commercial conversion, but same there, and I haven't done anything in that space yet.
Yeah.
But, that's it.
But the information's out there. You don't need to go and do another expensive course. You just
Yeah.
speak with the network you've got now. You just speak to someone, don't you?
Exactly
There's free information everywhere.
Yeah, exactly that.
Podcasts, books, etc.
Yeah.
So what did you say? You did them all, and then you chose one strategy. What was that strategy?
It was buy to let. I wanted to start from the basic, build a solid foundation, and I picked buy to let.
So what appealed about buy to let to you ahead of the other strategies?
I think it was just the lack of experience, So I was like, I don't know how to do it. I don't know where to start from. Let's start from there. They look simple, if I can say simple.
You saw it as a stepping stone type of thing.
Yeah. So it's like you do it once, and then they're all the same, more or less, maybe with different challenges, maybe linked on refurbishment more than buying the house, but it's a pretty simple strategy as soon as you know your numbers, where you buy and stuff.
Yeah, so in that course, I'm guessing they taught you the BRR strategy.
Yeah.
So did you go straight into buy-to-let with the BRR strategy in mind, or were you just looking to get started and get a couple of purchases under your belt?
No. I went straight in with that strategy, actually. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on, sorry.
So I was going to say, so tell me about the first couple of deals then.
Yeah, so my first deal was actually in Thornaby.
Right.
Yeah, so,
Things can only get better. I'm only joking.
I know. I don't own that property anymore.
Okay. Thornaby's actually okay. I'm only joking.
It's the only one that I don't own anymore. So that was actually with a JV partner. So I was attending a networking event, and as they taught us at these trainings, there was this guy walking around with this flyer. It was a deal flyer, So it was explaining the property, the purchase price, the refurb needed, and all the figures and stuff. And I got intrigued because I'm a doer, So I think I finished my trainings in June, and I bought my first house in July. So I was like, I just want to do it immediately.
Yeah, just on that, just to go back a little bit.
Yeah.
When they said that only 2% of the students actually go on to buy property, what's the reasoning behind that? Is that because people just take the theory and then take no action, is it?
Yeah, that's it. And also because people they're not really desperate to make it work. Like I didn't find another job. I didn't want another job. I was like, okay, I want to do this. And, I was on 6 figures, and then I went down to 0. So I had to make it work. When people have like a backup plan, like they are in a job, I think the motivation is not as big.
Yeah, totally agree with that.
I mean, it's not always the case, but in majority of the case, the cases it is, Yeah. So for me, it was like, okay, this has to work, So I spoke with this guy who had the deal. I liked the sound of it, and I was like, okay, let's just do it. I had a bit of money myself still left, so I put a bit of money, and then he put a bit of money, and we did the deal together. It was a tree house that we bought for £35,000.
Right. Okay.
I know.
Yeah.
We spent 17 on refurb. I was a bit nervous because that was my first deal, so we decided to keep the kitchen. There was not very modern, look as we do now. It was like brownish, and the carpet as well. We left the old one that was brown. I hated it, but I was so worried about the valuation. I was like, because we didn't change the kitchen or the carpet looks old, we're not going to get the money we want. Because that's what they usually teach you. They're like, if you change the kitchen, the bathroom, you will get, higher valuation. Yeah. But that wasn't the case. That was a money in, money out deal.
Right.
So,
Brilliant.
I was really, really happy with it.
Okay,
we
brilliant.
managed to rent it out pretty soon. As soon as the tenant moved in, we had a few issues, like the ceiling fall down. Yeah, that was a bit bad, but at the same time, we were lucky because no one was in the flat at the time, in the house at the time. But yeah, then something changed there. I think the council decided to host move a lot of people in Thornaby, like seeking for houses in benefit.
Right, okay.
So the house, the area just went downhill, and it was not performing well. We had issues like smashing windows and stuff, and I decided just to leave the house with my JV partner. It was a JV, but was a very loose one. Like, we were very fair to each other, so there was no argument or anything. He kept the house, I made my money back, so everyone was happy.
Brilliant.
And I just walked away, and that was it.
Oh, that's all right then.
But I remember that as a good experience, not stressful, a bit stressful, but nothing unmanageable, I would say.
Yeah, so it sounds like a good first deal to do, because you've learnt lessons, with things going wrong and with the area and the property itself. You've done a JV, so you've been exposed to that. So there's lessons to be learnt there, I'm sure, as well. And then you've got out of it on good terms as well. So it's pretty much ideal.
We actually took the tenant to court as well. So done
maybe it's not
everything
that
with the
ideal.
first house. Well, it didn't show up, but whatever.
Yeah, right, okay.
So it was not returning the key. So there was, I don't know, this guy kind of disappeared. And then after a few weeks, he just posted the key. So we got the house back. But yeah, so a lot of lesson learned with the first deal.
Yeah. So why the Northeast then? Did the course that you did they promote the Northeast, or did you go out there and do your own sort of due diligence?
No, so they didn't promote the Northeast at all because no one knew about the Northeast at the time, and I was actually really happy with it.
I used to love those days, yeah.
I know, me too. So they usually say go like an hour away from where you live, but living in London, you're still in London, so that was not really working. So I actually started from Stoke-on-Trent, so that was my first choice. I went there, I think 2-3 times. But I don't know, I just felt it was not the right place for me. I just, I was just walking around and I was like, no, I don't like it. And for once that, I could decide where to work, I was like, no, I'm going to pick another one. Yeah. So I decided just to go far. Open Google Maps. I was like, oh, this is far. How about Newcastle? So I started doing some desktop researches and stuff. And then I got bored, as I usually do. And I booked a train ticket and I came up here. And then I was like, okay, and now people were talking to me and I couldn't understand a word about what they were telling me because everyone is so friendly here that they were coming to me, maybe asking if I needed help or, just greeting. And seriously, I was having conversation on the metro with people without understanding anything. Yeah. I was like, okay, I need to learn another language here.
But they were smiling, so you knew they were being nice.
I was smiling back, so I didn't look that stupid. But I started doing, loads of viewings, connecting to agents, and that as well. I found out pretty soon that Newcastle was not working in terms of numbers, so I moved down a little bit to Sunderland, and that was magic.
A new world.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So at that point, what was your criteria? Obviously, you're doing BRR, so I'm guessing you were just trying to recycle as much cash as possible.
Yes.
But was there a criteria there at the time? Because I've always stuck to the criteria that I'll never leave more than 15 grand in a buy-to-let deal.
Yeah.
Was there anything like that for you?
Yeah, similar. For me at the time was, of course, the least the better, but it was around 10K. Yeah. That was absolutely feasible. I mean, I had some deals like very close to money in, money out, so just leaving 5K, 3K in. Now it's changed, of course. Yeah. But yeah, that was the criteria, so maximum 10K left in. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Good rental area, high rent, good demand. I don't want to say solid houses because we were talking about this. Maybe the first few are still good in terms of rent, but maybe a bit problematic.
High maintenance, liability. Yeah. Seem to be a lot of those houses around them, like the Millfield area we were discussing. They're great. The numbers are great on them, but they do need a lot of attention at times.
Yeah, they do.
All right, so you're in Sunderland. You found a new area. You're like, bingo, this is me.
Yeah.
Then what? How did you find the deals?
Just doing a lot of viewings. I was doing 17 viewings a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, walking
between
viewings. So I had a system that I created for myself.
Right.
I like to walk because really you can talk to people. Here you can really talk to people. So I was really stopping the postman asking, what do you think about this street? Do you know who lives there? You know, to know more about the area, because, you know, agents can tell you anything, but then the real life is different, you know. So I was just grouping viewings based on postcode, and I was walking on the back roads as well, just to see how people live, if the area is clean, what kind of tenant I was getting, you know. And then brilliant. I was just running the numbers at the end of the day and putting a lot of offers in. And that's how I started getting deals, you know. And at the time, I was actually buying one property a month. And I think after the first 5, I decided to stop because I actually got scared. I was like, okay, maybe this is going too fast, you know. It's like I'm buying, but I'm not sure what I'm doing still. You know, you always have that question. I actually ask this question to you sometimes as well. I'm like, I'm still not sure what I'm doing, you know. Is this the right thing to do, you know?
Is anyone absolutely certain?
Yeah, no. Exactly, no. But it felt good, and I love that, you know. And I think this is actually trigger the idea of the sourcing business, because being so active, I was here 2 weeks every month, you know. So lots of relationships, a lot of viewings, a lot of, you know, business built. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to waste any potential opportunity, you know. So I went on another training. There was the sourcing training. Yeah. Yes. But I loved it because it taught me what to do. So they gave me like a guideline and I follow it step by step. And then that's how Empire Consulting was created.
Great. So how were you welcomed at that point when you were buying your first buy-to-lets? How were you welcomed by agents? You know, being a young girl from London coming up. I think, what year are we talking?
18, 19.
So there probably was a good few sources kicking around then. Probably not as many as now.
Yeah.
But how were you welcomed in general?
I wasn't.
You know, I thought you were going to say.
I was not the girl from London. I was the girl from Italy.
True. Yeah, true.
It's different because that's interesting as well. You can tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, I know there are big universities here, but I felt like the people were not used to foreign people as in London, for example. I mean, in London, you don't find anyone from London or rarely any Brits, you know. And here I found that you don't find anyone from Milan, for example.
Definitely
you know?
not.
So they were like, who's this girl? What does she want, you know? So for me, I really wanted to prove them wrong. Like I remember I was pestering them so bad. I mean, all the agents in Sunderland knew me. I was going there, bringing biscuits, as they say, you know, you have to kind of, I don't know, look nice and be nice to them. But then they don't really care about the biscuits. They want to make money as you do.
Of course they do.
Yeah. So I just start proving them that I could buy properties, you know, and I was buying properties. And as soon as you go one, that's it. That's the proof, you know. You're like, okay, I've done this.
You've got credibility with them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I can do it. I'm looking for more. I got the funds. This is the proof. Find me the houses. And that's how brilliant. I build that relationships.
Yes, you've gone out there, you've proven who you are, and your model, you're not all talk because you're putting your money where your mouth is. And I bet that being the girl from Italy, and you're right, there'll be nobody in Sunderland from Milan, or I'd be very surprised if there was, that probably helped you. That probably helped you stick in the minds of agents. You know, you're building up relationships, you're bringing them biscuits, as everyone does. You're buying property, so you're gaining that credibility straight away. But because, you know, it's rare for this girl from Milan to walk into an estate agency, you will have stuck in their minds and have thought, oh, Flora might want this deal. You'll have been fresh in their mind all the time.
Yeah, that's correct. And that's actually a good point, because what I thought it was I mean, that became my strength, you know, my accent being different,
Definitely,
you know.
yeah.
And that's the reason why actually I go higher in, you know, during my previous life from other companies as well, because they were like, you stand out.
Yeah,
Is your accent, you're different. And that's why people will remember you.
definitely.
It's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
it worked.
Use it to
I
your
guess.
strengths. Yeah, yeah. So you were building up these relationships. You were buying a good one a month yourself,
Yeah.
and then were you just sort of sourcing on the excess? Once you had the knowledge from the course, you were just sourcing on everything else that you maybe couldn't afford to buy at the time, or you didn't want to buy.
Yeah, so essentially I had, as I said before, I had a guideline on how to structure the sourcing business, you know. So I came out of the training with actually a deal information pack already made because I worked on it. So it was quite easy for me just to cut and paste pictures and, you know, review the area information and stuff. So I was just selling things that, I couldn't buy myself. I regret it because I really should have found the money to buy more, because some deals that I let go, they were just insane. They were money in, money out. And, you know, I bought my first few houses in my personal name because at the time, as I said, I didn't have a job. But then when you start buying in a limited company, the criteria change. So the very cheap deals, I had to let them go. And I'm like, I'm so gutted, you know, but I was still making money.
Every source I speak to says the exact same thing. God, why did I source those deals? I wish I kept them. But in reality, you can't buy everything yourself.
Yeah.
If it was that easy, you know, we'd all be billionaires. And that's why I think I'd make a terrible sourcer because, I just want, if the deal's good enough, I feel like I'll always try and find a way.
Yeah.
But you've obviously made a huge success of it. Do you think of yourself as a property sourcer mainly or as a property investor?
Property investor, I think.
Right, okay.
Especially in this time in my life, you know. I did heavy sourcing. Actually, the COVID year was my biggest year, believe it or not. And I was actually traveling in South America, so I was sourcing from Colombia.
Yeah, I remember this. Yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
And that was the time where I was sending deals out and they were going in minutes. And it was just incredible, you know,
It was a crazy time, wasn't it?
It was crazy. Everyone wanted properties. The Northeast, I think, was booming because of the high yield, you know, properties and still low entry price properties, you know. So everyone wanted a piece of that cake. So that worked well for me. But now things have changed because, well, I had Maya as well, my daughter. So that made me stop from coming up here and, you know, that made me think that what I do what I do to become as passive as possible. And although sourcing is great, I'm passionate about it, it gives me that energy and things, it's not passive at all. I mean, you mentioned before, property investing is not passive. Yeah, sourcing is even worse.
No.
So I remind myself constantly why I do what I do. That is actually to build my portfolio, to really be able to do as close as nothing as possible in a few years' time.
So that's your why. So
Yes.
your property sourcing is purely, when you stick to your aims, your goals, property sourcing is purely funding the purchasing of your portfolio. And they go hand in hand and they both help each other, of course they do, with relationships with agents, etc. So that's brilliant. Do you know how many properties you've sourced in total?
I stopped counting them, to be honest. I went through my spreadsheets, but I think it was over than 100 in total, I think. Yeah.
Which is outstanding.
Thank you.
What's the most you've done in a year? I'm guessing it was that COVID year.
It was the COVID year. I think I did 48 that year.
Yeah, which is insane.
Yeah, considering it was a pandemic, and as I said, I was on the other side of the world, I found it impressive. Also because I was working with people here, so time difference, you know, it was totally different. So I was working at night. Well, that was actually when I was working until late at night, like until 11, 12, packing deals, sending them out because, you know, clients have jobs, you know, so they do property on their spare time. There's usually evenings, you know, so there was very little sleep for me. Now is the opposite. I'm like, I don't work weekends. I don't work on Monday. I try not to work late evening because, well, it's my family time and my
But you've put the hours in already. You've done the hard graft.
Yeah.
So at that point, you must have been. were you offering a sort of one-stop shop? So were you offering the refurb as part of your package, the lettings, etc., even when you first started outsourcing?
Yes. So I actually realized that what my clients were looking at was the full pack, because the investors are not local to the Northeast. They know nothing about the Northeast. They are actually main down in London. So that's what they were looking for, and that's what I decided to come up with, So from finding the deals, that was mainly on me. So, packing everything, providing all the information about the deals and stuff. And then I was working with project managers, build teams, and collaborating with letting agents for rental.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So what were the main challenges? Because there must have been some huge challenges at that point, and I'm sure there still are. But there must have been some huge challenges and a lot of frogs kissed to put that power team together. And I'm talking the whole team, so sort of solicitors, surveyors, mainly your build team, I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, if I think about how many people I work with in terms of project managers and builders and seriously letting agents, I can't even give you a number, It's just like, yeah.
But it's all part of the journey, isn't it?
It is. You learn a lot, and I'm still friends, and not friends, but like I'm still in good relationship with all of these people. But you just realize that maybe you're not compatible, and you can't work together because maybe the values don't align, and we see business in different way. I don't want to say it's age related, because it's not always the case, but I've been in account management my entire life, and for me, clients are the most important things in my business. I want them to be happy because I want them to come back to me and do more business with me, and I want them to recommend me and my services to other potential new clients. So if you got someone in the, let's say, process that screws everything, that's not good. For the business, for the clients and stuff. Is bad to see that people don't care about it. And when I see that, I just stop working with these people, because they maybe think about making quick transactions and, quick money, but that's not what it is for me,
It's a false economy, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's difficult. So from project management, went really wrong with refurbishment price very badly. So of course, underpriced. So clients ended up paying more, and the deal not making sense anymore. To builders just leaving the job halfway, and finding people to rescue refurbishments like you, for example. Letting agent then disappears as well, and we still don't know where they went.
No.
Went through all of that.
Yeah. We were talking off camera, weren't we? And
we were.
It's, regardless of how little responsibility you have for that letting agent doing a runner or the builder walking off the job halfway through, it's nothing to do with you. We could be having personal issues or whatever. There's a sense of responsibility there, isn't it? You obviously care about your clients. You've said that, and it's clear in the work you do that you do care about your clients. And but you must feel a sense of responsibility, because for a fact that the investor sitting in London has seen the deal or the refurb fall apart in the Northeast, and they will associate that with you. You've sourced them that deal. So how do you separate yourself from that? How do you deal with that?
That's a good question. Is this still learning in progress? Because sometimes I still take things personally, because as you said, I do care so much that I feel for them, but because I'm a property investor as well, so, I do the same things as my clients, so what happens to them happens to me as well. So sometimes I'm like, don't worry, we're going to find a solution, because there is a solution to anything. I've been through that as well. So let's work together towards the same goals, But yeah, I'm still learning to separate myself from that, but it's not always easy, because I do feel responsible also if I'm not, and clients always don't see that. Some clients are more reasonable, so they get it, and maybe they have more experience in the game, so they are aware that not everything goes as planned. Others are just maybe their first property, everything goes wrong, and they're just like, they've been put off maybe by a bad deal or a bad experience working with a bad build team, So, yeah.
Yeah. So for someone just starting out in property investment and maybe he's investing remotely, what are the main things they should be looking out for in a property sourcer, do you think?
Well, first of all, they have to do due diligence on the sourcer and, check the track record, maybe talk with clients they've been working with, maybe they need to understand if, they like the person as well, because you can have conversation with people that maybe on paper has done loads of deals and is amazing, but then you don't feel that is the right person to work with. It's just a gut feel, and I think it's very important to follow it sometimes.
Definitely.
So just have a conversation, see what they've done, talk to people that they work with, and see if the strategy aligns to your strategy, and see if they can help you to reach your goals.
Yeah. So where are you with sourcing at the moment? Are you still very active? Are you obviously you got your daughter now, so life's changed dramatically for you.
Yeah.
So you say you're not coming up to the northeast anywhere near as much, but I guess you're still just leaning on those existing relationships that you've got in the northeast. Are you still as active sourcing wise?
Yeah. So I now work in a different way. So before I was working like one deal to many investors. So I had a big database. I was sending out the deal, and then, now it's different. I work one-to-one.
Right.
So I know exactly what my clients want, and I find them the deals. So I work the other way around,
So it's more of a bespoke sort of service.
Correct.
Do you enjoy that more?
I do. Although sometimes I still spend lots of time qualifying my clients' requirements and stuff, and then you find them, I don't want to say the perfect deal, but the deal that reflects the requirements, and then they don't buy it. And you're like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And they're like, but I want this, I want that. I don't like the blue door. I don't like the brown windows. And I'm like, gosh, you don't have to live in the house. I mean, do you even know what you're talking about?
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say I enjoy that more.
It's quite a frustrating game source as well, I think, isn't it? Because you have to see the deal through. Once you've sold the deal, your job isn't done. You need to see, you need to be monitoring the conveyancing process, which we all know is incredibly frustrating process in this country. It's archaic. Anyway, that's a conversation for another day. So it must be a frustrating process. You must go weeks down the line with conveyancing and then see deals fall through, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, 100%, for reasons that you can't control, of course. Sometimes the clients just get bored. That I don't get that neither, especially if you have a job. I mean, like, property is a thing that you do on the side. So for me, as property investor, it's like, it's going through anyway. If it takes 2 months or 6 months, I mean, of course I care, because I want this to be done quicker. But who cares? It's still there. It's still happening,
You're in it for the long term, aren't you?
Yeah. So it's just deal with it, But other people just get bored and they just pull out for any reasons. To be honest, recently what happened is that I lost a deal because when we started the transaction, the refurb was, I think, was around 25K. But now, the cost of material went up a lot. So that deal doesn't make any sense anymore for the client. So they have reviewed the numbers, and although we were almost 12 months into legals, because it was a probate property as well, they decided to pull out. So, there are really different reasons that, and everyone, does business analysis in different way. I mean, they have to do what is more convenient for them and for the business, I guess, So what works for me doesn't work for them. So
yeah, fair enough. So as you've been going through the sourcing journey, you've obviously continued to buy your own properties. We've talked about those first few deals that you've done, buy-to-lets. Have you stuck with the buy-to-let strategy throughout, or have you moved on to other things?
I actually still do buy-to-lets.
Good.
I do love them. They're just so easy, and seriously, as I said before, as soon as you know where you buy, and that's why I love having conversation with you. I mean, we worked together for a while, and I always like checking areas with you and what's happening, because I still want to be sure that what I'm buying is good for me and for my clients. So yeah, just stick to them because they're easy, and as soon as you know where to buy and what you buy, you just can do it with your eyes shut almost. I guess.
And will you continue that then? Because it's easy to get distracted, isn't it, by the shiny pennies of serviced accommodation, HMOs, social housing now. Everyone in the Gran is buying social housing blocks of apartments and making billions on social media. Are you laser focused on that buy-to-let strategy?
I am. I actually, I don't think you know that, but I've done service accommodation once in Birmingham.
Right.
And that went really bad. Like, I think it lasted probably 2 weeks. And then a gas destroyed the flat. And that cost me loads of money, like £7,000 to put it back right. So that was rent, service accommodation. So I was like, okay, now that's it. Let's go back on track. Let's stick to buy-to-let. I think I want to grow pretty fast now. I mean, I really want to add quite a few units to the buy-to-let portfolio before moving to the next strategy. I'm intrigued by commercial conversion. I mean, we were talking about these as well, maybe small things to start with. But yeah, social housing is a big thing, as you're saying now. I still don't see it in my strategy as a strategy. I'm not keen on that. Service accommodation, no thank you very much. Rent to rent, no thank you very much. I like owning my assets. So yeah, stick to buy-to-let.
Yeah. With a lot of the social housing stuff, I don't know about you, but a lot of the deals that I've been offered and a lot of other people have been offered, the returns are amazing and they're guaranteed for 5 years, no maintenance, no management. And then you do your due diligence. I've done it on about 4 or 5 deals now for myself and other investors. And the purchase prices are like 50% above what the market value is. And their argument, the people that are selling these deals, their argument is, yeah, but you've got 5 years guaranteed rent. When you crunch the numbers, it's no better off. You're no better off.
Yeah, I agree.
And I just don't see the sense in overpaying for property. It's bizarre.
Interesting because when something becomes a trend, you feel like you're missing out.
Yeah.
Like, as you said, everyone is talking about social housing. So I asked the question to myself. I was like, okay, am I missing out anything here? Why I'm not getting it? You know, and it's the same reason that you just explained. You know, I don't think it works for me. At least I had conversation with my mortgage broker as well about should I go for it? Shall I start exploring that? It's like, oh, lenders don't like it. If people do it, it must be a reason. It works for them, you know. Maybe they got higher interest rate when they refinance. Maybe they use their own money, so they don't need to refinance. So they just enjoy the cash flow, you know. But it's not something that works for me. Yeah. Same as service accommodation, you know. For me, I can't see it. I mean, I was running my flat in London as service accommodation, and I mean, yeah, I was making a bit of money, but you know, I got capital and interest mortgage down in London, so you know, is a big chunk of money that goes to cover that. But I was making probably £200-300 profit in London. So I can't see here people making £1,500 out of a service accommodation unless you manage it yourself. But people don't say that.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Or you do all the advertising on platforms yourself, but people don't say that
it's
either.
It's so time intensive.
Exactly. So...
yeah, there's when you delve deeper in any of these shiny pennies, it's that's why I always come back to buy-to-lets and commercial to residential conversions, which I love, because with commercial to resi conversions, well, the stuff I've done, the exit strategy at the end has always been buy-to-let anyway. So all you're doing is creating bulk buy-to-lets, like the 11 apartment development I did in Billingham. I bought, it was a business centre. I've turned it into 11 buy-to-lets. So the exit strategy, is the same at the end, but you're just doing it quicker because you're doing it in bulk. So I'll continue to do the commercial or resi stuff for that very reason. So with the buy-to-lets, is your criteria still the same now as it was then, or are you less worried about leaving money in deals now?
Yeah, I think I'm less worried about that. Also because, you know, we are in a totally different market, different interest rates. So I can't, but, you know, it's difficult to buy at the same price I was buying a few years ago, you know. Yeah. So you leave more money in. The good thing is that I'm working with long-term investors. So, you know, I have, let's say, a plan to pay them back. I have a plan, but I don't have to deal with it in the immediate, you know, future. So I don't need to give them the money back as soon as I refinance a property, but I can reuse the money to buy more, you know, so I'm not worried about that. So maybe a few flips in the future to cover that money left in. I don't see flips in this current market working neither, to be honest, especially in the Northeast. So that's something that I'm actually looking at down in London. So maybe title splitting is actually a strategy that I am considering more down south. I feel like sometimes, I mean, I told you that I'm a doer, but sometimes when I think about, I mean, I don't want to lose the track, I want to be on track with my buy-to-let first before start moving, because all of these title splitting things requires me to start from scratch, new area, new due diligence, a new building relationship, and you think, I can't do that now. So I want to focus on that, building the portfolio buy-to-lets, and that's to happen by December this year. That's it.
Right. And do you mind telling me how many units you've got in mind by the end of December?
I don't have, I really don't have a figure, because I'm really thinking about taking on portfolios. So, I've been offered from 7 properties to, 30. So the more, the better, I guess, because it doesn't matter. I mean, transaction is a transaction. Is 5 million, is 1 million, is the same thing. It's probably more complex. You have to structure it in a different way. But, as soon as you got the right people in place who have done it before and know how to deal with the paperwork, you're fine.
Yeah. So portfolios is your focus currently?
Yes.
Yeah. And is that just from a speed perspective?
It is because, as I said, I mean, I haven't been very active since I had Maya, because it is what it is. You can't do everything when you go a little one. I mean, people do, but I couldn't. So now I want to speed up, or let's say the time lost.
Yeah, okay. I'm sure you will.
Yeah, I'm sure I will. And I mean, I was telling you as well that I'm refinancing a few properties as well. So I got some spare cash that I can use maybe to buy 2-3 buy-to-lets while I work on the portfolio. So,
Perfect. And when you look at these portfolios, and we've just looked at a couple together before I came on here, are you looking from a BRR perspective still? Is your mind still in that BRR mindset? Are you still looking to recycle cash, or are you just looking for good value deals in portfolios to sit and hold?
That's a good question. So the thing is that because I work quite a lot with investors' money and bridging finance, probably being able to pull money out will be the strategy. So finding something that maybe needs a bit of work to, increase the value, or maybe finding something that, some distressed vendor looking to sell a bit below market value, just because they want to get rid of the properties, will be ideal instead of a turnkey portfolio. Yeah.
I think the value in portfolios as well, it's something we touched on, is a lot of people selling portfolios are of retirement age. It makes sense for them to, especially if they're in limited companies, to sell off the company or just start selling off bits of properties that are owned in their own name. A lot of these older people with portfolios, I find, have self-managed for a long time. And because they've self-managed, the rents they're getting are way below market value. Obviously, you don't tell them that. But I've seen a few portfolios offered lately, and the rents are sort of up to 40, 50% below market value, and they've just been lazy. They've had good tenants in, so they just haven't rocked the boat. So you don't necessarily need that reduction, a huge reduction in the capital value on that portfolio to make it work, because if you can increase rents by 30% across the portfolio, that's sometimes can be enough to make the deal work.
That's true. But then how do you get your money back?
Well, that's it depends what your criteria is. So if you're looking to get money out, obviously that's not going to be the case. But if you're looking just to buy good quality stock and get not day one, but sort of within the first 12 months, increase your rents by 30%, that'll appeal to a lot of people. Yeah,
I agree with you. I mean, some landlords have tenants in for 20 years, and they, because they never miss a payment, they can't be bothered to raise the rent because they want to keep them happy. Maybe, I wouldn't be surprised if the houses needs a bit of work as well, So, it's a hard work, It's when you see so many properties, you're like, okay, what am I going to start from? So, I think checking that the area is a good one, it's, a good starting point, because if it's not, no way I'm going to waste my time, looking looking at it further, Yeah.
So we touched on the years just before COVID when we were both very active buying a lot of properties, and you were very active sourcing a lot of properties as well. It's chalk and cheese now, isn't it? The market, it's completely different. It's a completely different playing field. Yeah. How easy are you finding it to find deals for yourself and investors?
So my investors' criteria have changed a lot. So in the past, I was working with people that, as we were saying, they were looking just to recycle the money or, properties that needs of work. Now I'm coming across more people that actually, they don't want to do any work. They want to get rent from day one.
I'm finding that, yeah.
And I love that. Yeah. Because these are easy deals, I guess, It's like, as soon as you really match their criteria, they want a 3-bed semi or they want a whatever, yield, that's pretty easy to find. So that's good. For myself, sometimes I still struggle. When I look at the numbers now, I'm like, why should I buy the same house I bought 5 years ago,
I know. I get that as well.
At this price, I still get but that's what it is. I mean, it's still positive because it means that, there is capital appreciation as well in certain areas of the Northeast, where before it was like, no way you get capital appreciation here, but it's actually happening. I mean, so much money invested in areas here and so many investors coming up here as well,
There is, and that's what's causing the growth, isn't it? Yeah. And I think we're in for, I'm probably biased, but I think we're in for some real good quality capital growth over the next 5 years. I mean, Savills have reported 25 or 26% growth in the next 5 years. I think that sounds realistic to me because there's just so much demand from investors and people moving from other areas because it is cheaper to live here and that there are a lot of jobs.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you touched on angel finance. I know you're a big advocate of that. Have you used that from day one?
Property 2, from property number 2, I use it. Yeah, that was actually my mom.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, that is really true when they say start from family and friends because I really had no clue about my mom having savings, Mm-hmm. And they're still in the house in Sunderland.
Right.
Yeah. And she's like, you just remember that half of it is your brother's.
So I'm sure she reminds you.
Yes.
Yeah.
She actually asks me sometimes how much money I'm making of it.
Is she?
And I'm like, well, nothing because you're my mom. This is not true.
Bless her.
But so yes, from property number 2, I've been working with angels. Yeah.
So you've started with friends and family. Have you ventured out? Because I know you're quite active on social media. You used to be very active on social media, obviously before you had your daughter, etc. You were like, you couldn't look at Instagram without seeing Flora Russo. So did that yield a lot of private investment for you?
Yes, I mean a lot, a good amount, 100%. So I work with money of people that I never met in my life, people that follow me on social media, and you really know people now through social media, know. There is a good thing and a bad thing. I think what I try to project through my social media is not just the good, but is the real life of a property investor, and the sourcing agent, because things can go well, things can go bad, but no one talks about the bad, and people are not stupid. They know what's happened, know. And I think that makes, people relate to that, and then you build that trust with them, although they don't know you personally, because they're like, okay, she's telling the truth, she's not trying to hide things, in order to get to the money, Also because I never ask for money to anyone specifically on social media, just people messaging me saying, oh, I got this spare money, I would like to start investing myself, but I don't think it's enough. I don't have the time. So why don't you use it to build your portfolio?
So what's the best way to, I think I've asked you this before actually, what's the best way to attract private investment without asking for it directly? Obviously you're building up the credibility by showing people the good and the bad, and people definitely buy into that because they respect the fact that you're highlighting, you're not Mrs. Perfect. Things have gone shit, it's the fan for everyone. You're not going out there and asking for the money direct. So what is the key to attracting those private messages on Instagram or Facebook, whatever, and people offering you money?
I think it's just showcasing what you actually do. Like, I bought, seriously, all of my houses are funded by investors. So, just presenting the deals, that I've done in the past, and maybe how much money my angels have made in terms of return and interest is a good starting point. I think I posted something last week. It was actually a example of deal, and I got a message like a few days later from a guy who I met in Ibiza for the first time.
Oh, really?
Now that when was I there? Recently in May, saying, tell me more about this. How does that work? And yesterday we were having this conversation, maybe nothing will materialize, but still having this conversation that is good.
Yeah.
And everything came from someone that I know for 2 months, and is just looking at my Instagram posts,
Yeah, perfect. It really is key, and it's a free tool as well, isn't it? I drum on about it, and I'm not that great at it myself, but it's everything now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm sure with all the experience you have, it will be pretty easy for you to raise money because you can't really showcase anything. I actually loved your video of you telling everyone how much you pay for a property, how much it's worth now. So this is just, that show your experience and how confident you are with what you do, so.
Yeah, I sort of hit a turning point about a year ago where I thought, I've been doing this for 22 years. I've got so much experience, but nobody knows about it. And I've always used my own cash to do everything.
I remember we spoke about this.
Yeah, so it comes to the point where, I do need to be open to that. I am very open to it now, so I will start working with investors, I'm sure.
Yeah.
When the time comes. So you're back in action now. You seem to have your foot on the accelerator again. I can tell when I speak to you that, right, I'm going to aggressively start buying again. Are you big on goals? Do you set yourself sort of 12-month, 3-year, 5-year goals?
I am terrible at goals, especially long term. I can't see long term. It's just, I think, is a block I have after what's happened to my dad. It's like I can't see 3 years, 5 years. I can't do that. I mean, I got a vague idea of where I want to be and what I want to do, but I can't do that. It's just not possible. So I just have a very simple business plan with, the cash flow that I want to achieve a month, and then I work backwards, so how many properties do I need to get there, how sourcing is involved in these, and stuff like that. So it's very, very simple, to be honest, but
yeah.
I mean, I want to retire, if that's a word, in 2 years' time.
2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the goal. Gone.
When I say the word success, what does that mean to you?
Oh, that's a good one. It means freedom, I think. It means...
I knew that would be your answer.
Yeah, I think it means that feeling you have of accomplishment. Like, I am free to do anything I want, not depending from anyone, I'm always been an independent woman, but I got that now on my side, and is, I mean, some women are like, they try to prove a point, like you have to be an independent woman, you don't have to depend from a man or whatever. But for me, like, we are a family, we are a couple, we are strong together, I can't see me without him, and that's what makes me strong as well, having him on my side. He was my first supporter from day one, he had no clue what I was doing. He said to me, you're going to make it work. This is for you. He's actually, he still is one of my angel investors. So, so it's just freedom, I mean, I've been on holiday 7 times this year, and I'm not done with it yet,
It's only July.
Yeah, I'm going in July, I'm going in October again. And, it's just the freedom and the flexibility of doing what I want with my family, essentially, my friends, that's what I want to do. Then I'm sure I will probably get bored. I don't know. Will I get bored? I don't know. I don't know.
Is Vadim involved in property as well, or does he just sort of support you and let you get on with your thing?
No, thank God he's not involved. Yeah. That will be a disaster.
Yeah. There'd be no escape, would there?
Yeah, we just see things in a very different way. Sometimes I'm like, I'm looking at this portfolio, and it's like, yeah, but you don't have the money. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'll find it. Don't worry about it. You know,
Yeah.
I know I can find it.
Of course you will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course
So
you
it's just a different mindset, but it's fair enough. You know, he's working in a corporate job. He loves it. He's very successful as a salesperson, but it's just a different, you know, mindset and mentality from what
I think
we do.
that works perfectly. I think if you were both spoken to a few couples that are both involved in property, I often think like that they're out doing what they do all day, and then they'll be sat around the dinner table on a night, and you would talk property, and there'd be no escape from it, would there?
Yeah, I think there are pros and cons, meaning if we were both in properties, we were probably living up here, I guess. For example, like, you know, boosting the business and then maybe moving back to London. I don't know. But we were having a common goal, you know. So now we have different goals. We're still moving towards the same direction. That's the important thing, you know. But sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe we should really move to the Northeast, you know, for my business to grow quicker. And the answer is always, yeah, but you're doing well enough. So you don't need that. You always done it from here. So why should we move?
Yeah. And in this day and age, with the relationships you've got and the internet and, you know, the train's 3 hours or 2.5 hours, whatever.
It's true. Or sometimes I'm like, oh, I got some spare cash. Do you want it to invest in stocks and share? And his answer is always like, you buy houses, I do stocks and share. That's fair enough. You know, you have to differentiate your investments and things.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to retire in 2 years' time. What would you, when you say retire, I'm guessing, I don't need to ask you, I know what you'll do, you'll travel a lot.
Yeah.
But when you say retire, will you still be buying? Will you still be buying properties?
Yeah, I mean, by retiring, I mean, I want to be very comfortable with my portfolio, you know, and not to be worried about, oh my God, I haven't bought anything for 2 months, you know. I will still keep buying because, you know, as you said, it's easier thing to do, especially buy-to-lets. I'm sure I will get bored, so maybe I will adventure, you know, on different, exploring different strategies, I guess. Still property investing. I can't see myself mentoring or coaching. It's not something I enjoy doing. I mean, people sometimes ask me, would you teach me? And my answer is no.
Really?
Yeah, it's just because it's just not for me. It's interesting because not being from this country as well, you know, people have taught me so many things, you know, and I've been in trainings and stuff, but I can't see myself teaching other people. I just don't have the patience, you know. It's just, for me, it's like, how is that possible? You don't get it. It's so simple.
Yeah, it would be. It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got 2 mentees at the moment, and they're both very good. But I can imagine if someone wasn't giving it their all, I would get very, very frustrated very quickly.
Yeah.
Because I'd be giving them the information, giving them the bullets to shoot, and if they're just lazy or they're not fully focused on it, I'd get very frustrated very quickly.
Yeah, I might change my mind. I don't know. You know, you mentioned traveling, but, you know, I can't travel by myself all the time. You know, I still have a family. So Maya will go to school, so it will be more difficult to travel with her as well, you know, and when it's not half term and things.
You see yourself living anywhere else in the world eventually?
Yes.
Where would you like to live?
Barcelona.
I love Barcelona, yeah.
Or Dubai. That's actually the plan. So this is in the plan for the next future. So we are exploring opportunities. Although I mentioned we love London, it's true. We can't have enough of that city, you know. It's just amazing for us. I think we're at the point where we are really missing the good weather, and we've been in Albania recently, last week actually, and just staying in the sun and wearing light clothes. And I know you do that in the Northeast anyway, in a nice weather. I mean,
above 10 degrees,
yes.
yeah.
It's just a different lifestyle, you know. You spend so much time out, people smile, people are happier. It's just different, you know.
It is, yeah.
And we miss that bit.
When 2 or 3 weeks ago, when we had 3 days of, it was like 25, 26 degrees here, and just the general mood of everyone in the office or just out on the street, everyone's happier, everyone's got a spring in the step. We're not meant to be living in grey climates, locked in rooms with heating on. That's not what we were designed to do, is
agree. So we are exploring different things. I mean, I don't want to say too much. It really depends on, I mean, I got my property business that I can manage from anywhere in the world. That's why I do what I do as well. For Vad is difficult, not difficult, but is more challenging because he has to find a job actually or be relocated. So that's what we are exploring at the moment. That's it.
Is there an end goal in mind then? Is there an exit strategy? Sort of, do you plan on selling your properties eventually? Just plan on passing them down to Maya, or what's the end goal?
Yeah, I think passing everything to Maya, all my debts.
Lucky girl. Yeah. Yeah. It's like angel investors chasing her.
Yeah, exactly. I'm teaching her what I do actually. That is interesting because she sees me at home, so she thinks that I don't work. So she thinks that only daddy works. So I'm now teaching her that I buy houses. So I'm like, what mama does? She's like, mama buy houses. Okay, good.
Brilliant.
Good.
Yeah,
good
she needs
girl.
to be aware. Yeah.
But passing everything to her, I mean, making her life maybe be easier, and then it will be what it will be because you never know in life. Maybe you've done everything for nothing, maybe not, who knows, but at least I will be happy with what I achieved.
Yeah. So on that, if you could roll the years back and start all over again, is there anything you would do differently?
Property-wise?
Yeah.
Yes, so trainings, as I said before, I will do less. That's
interesting.
Yeah, instead of spending all of that money, just focus on that's one strategy and nail it, like I'm doing now, actually.
Yeah.
And then maybe get a mentor or doing additional trainings if needed when, the time is right to move
in
to
specific areas.
Yeah, in specific areas. I think a mentor maybe will accelerate, not always, but can accelerate the process,
Yeah.
And I will buy more. I mean, all of that deals like below stamp duty or money in, money out. Oh God, all of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you say you've done less training because although it was an expensive training you did, I mean, you've made.
Oh yeah, you made the money back. Yeah.
If anyone has, you have. So to hear you say that's interesting. I'm the same. I would have got a mentor. I wouldn't have done any training. I've never done any training, but I would have got a mentor early doors.
Yeah.
I didn't see the value in it. Well, didn't have the available funds, so it's more difficult. But yeah, it's like putting a rocket.
Yeah, I mean, mentor. I mean really a person that is actually holding your hand. You know, like not these. Like let's have one half an hour call every month. Well, that's not a mentor, because I'm doing everything by myself. And then you're just checking if I'm going to, the right direction. But really someone who teaches you how to do it. That doesn't really have to be a mentor. I think one of the things that I'm actually promoting a lot is shadowing people. I remember that I did that when I started. So I did a flip here in South Shields, actually, with a JV. And I remember I was shadowing this guy, like, do you mind if I come along and view some houses with you? Because I need to understand exactly what you look at when you're pricing a refurbishment and how you speak to agents. And this is the most valuable thing ever, because being sitting in a room doesn't teach you that.
No.
They can give you all the theory you want, but then seriously, real life is different.
Yeah. And if with a mentor, you're obviously going to choose someone who has achieved exactly or as near as damn it to what you want to achieve. So there's comfort in that, isn't there? Knowing that whatever obstacle you come across on your journey, they've probably been through it. There's a high chance. Yeah,
I think it's really difficult to pick the right person but like in anything else, I've seen some mentors that because they've been doing this for a while, they don't care anymore. So they're like, they just want to make money. Other mentor that because they've done it all, they really want to give back and they're really genuine. And these are the people that you want to be surrounded with,
Yeah, and you can work them, you can find them and work them out pretty quickly, can't you?
Yeah, I guess.
So, last question. If you could give just one piece of advice to someone starting out day one today, they come to you, say, Flora, I want to invest in property. what's the number? I'm sure there's many bits of advice you could give, but what's the number one bit of advice you would give them?
Do it on the side. That sounds funny, but what I mean by that is like, don't quit your job, as I did. Just stay comfortable, but do something uncomfortable on the side. So it will be easier mentally, I guess, because you won't be that stressed out about things maybe going wrong, and it will be much easier maybe to get mortgages if you decide to buy that way, or refinancing and stuff. So that's my big piece of advice.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because with the internet and everyone's banging the drum for quitting your job and being an entrepreneur, and certain things that you see and read online, they almost make out people that aren't entrepreneurs to be failures, which couldn't be further from the truth. It's not for everyone, and like you said, it's with something like property, you can do it with the security, and I did it for years with the security of a good income. You're more mortgageable, like you say, and you can make more educated decisions because the pressure's not on as much. On the flip side of that, what you did by quitting your job created urgency, and you achieved so much in such a small space of time. That urgency may not have been there, so I understand both sides of the coin.
Yeah, I agree with that. I create urgency, yes, but I had some funds on the side that was helping, So also when they say, you can make money out of sourcing, so it's easier and stuff, but you still have to build the business, so that takes time. You have to build your client base, you have to build the relationship with the agents, you have to find the deals, you have to pack them, that takes a bit, and I know that lifestyles are different. I mean, if you live in London, you need a lot of money, maybe more money compared to some areas up here. So, for me, selling a deal or having 2 buy-to-lets is not enough. I need more than that to be comfortable.
Too many holidays.
Yes, exactly. To go on holiday.
Yeah.
So, I would say that. Don't quit your job. Do it on the side. Get comfortable, and then jump. Yeah,
for sure. Flora, it's been amazing to catch up. I'm looking forward to continuing watching your journey and growing our working relationship. I'm sure you're going to continue to smash it. What is the best place for people to find you online if they're looking for you to source some properties, etc.?
Yeah, I think Instagram is probably the best platform, Flora Russo Property, so quite easy to remember. Yeah. And then from there, you can get my contact details or message me privately.
Brilliant.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Thank you for listening or watching online. Please do share, subscribe, and tell people about the podcast. Until next time, take care.